This is our first discussion of metacognition and communication, and we will be reviewing what we learned in this quarter. What do you feel is the most significant and helpful information you learned in the metacognition portion of our first unit?
The information that I think is the most significant is that everyone needs to get 8 to 10 hours of sleep every night. They also need to be consistent with when they sleep. They should set a time to go to bed and when to wake up.
The main thing that I learned in this is that your brain is mainly a big muscle, and the more that you use it, the more stronger and better you learn.
I agree with Miles because when you sleep, you think and do better in school.
So I agree with Miles and Caden on the fact because when you sleep, your brain cleanses itself from all the daily toxins.
I agree with Alyssa because the more you go over a topic, the stronger those tiny connectors in your brain go, and they'll become more stable, so you'll be able to understand it better.
If you don't get enough sleep, then your brain doesn't have the capacity to have enough memory, so you can't learn new things.
Okay. What learning and or reading strategies did you find most helpful?
I found that taking notes can be helpful because then when you're out of class, you can also study and be ready for tests.
I agree with Ryan on that one.
I learned that getting rid of distractions helps because you can focus more on your work and learn better.
The strategy that I found the most significant is that when you are taking notes, not to write down everything that is being said. Instead, only write down the important stuff and paraphrase so you have more time and it is easier to memorize.
What did you feel is the most significant and helpful information you learned in the communication portion of our first unit?
It's important to focus on what the point is that you're trying to get across to the person.
I agree with Ryan because what you say and how you say it is going to depend on who you're talking to.
I learned to always be fully engaged because you may miss the small details of things.
I learned to always have good body language because it shows more than your words do.
I feel that it's good to always understand what the other person is talking about. Conversation.
I learned that there are different types of communication that should be used in different settings. Like static communication is communication that never changes, like the Pledge of Allegiance, and casual communication would be something that you talk about with friends.
What is something you've learned about yourself as a learner through this unit?
The more focused I am, the more I actually take in.
I learned that I pay more attention to a topic, and it's easier for me to learn when I'm actually interested in something.
I agree with Brittany.
I realized I learned better in school than out of school because I don't focus on my homework as well as I learned in school.
I agree with
Michael.
I agree with that too.
I agree with Michael because I have more distractions at home and they get me off track from my home.
Well, I guess that sums up our Socratic discussion of what we learned.
What else do you have to say about communication?
Sometimes when it always depends on how you communicate with someone, depending on who the person is. Like when you're talking to your teacher, you're not going to speak to them the way you would an intimate person or one of your best friends.
Or when you're in a job interview, you gotta have good communication so they know what type of person they're hiring.
Facial expressions can emphasize what you're trying to say.
think, Katie?
What do you think, Miles?
I think that communication between you and your friends is a lot different than between you and like a person of a much higher authority.
Maya, I don't think we've heard from you yet.
I think communication is important when you're I think that communication is more important when you're talking to somebody who you're not on like a first name basis with, and somebody that you should take seriously.
What do you think, Hayden?
That the different people you communicate is going to be different from other people.
Can you elaborate on that?
If you're talking to somebody that you don't really know, it's going to be like different than when you're talking to one of your closer friends.
I hear what you're saying.
I feel like I have more serious conversations outside of school than I do in school. Because I don't really take it as serious.
What do you mean by that?
Like when I go to work, I take it more seriously because I guess it matters more at the moment. Really think about what's going to happen at school.
Maybe I'm the good opposite. I don't know, just play Xbox with my friends and stupid at school.
So what you're saying is that you're more relaxed when you're at home than when you're at school.
How does that connect to your metacognition and your ability to learn?
When
To
you're
learn,
Go ahead, Michael.
okay, to learn, you need to be focused and not distracted by other things, so you can actually learn the information.
I agree with Michael.
I also
I agree with Michael because if he was relaxed when he came to school, he wouldn't learn anything. He wouldn't have learned anything.
he wasn't engaged, he wouldn't pick up anything at all.
So you're saying it matters what we're engaged in?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I also feel like when it's easier to engage in something that you like than having to be engaged in something that doesn't interest you.
And so how do you find that engagement? How do you, when you have to, what do you need to do, or what can you do?
Look for something interesting.
Yeah, find something interesting in it.
Something I like.
Or compare it to something that you do like find pros and cons of what you like and what you don't like.
It's a good strategy. Okay, I'm going to wrap you up for round one. Outside, what did round one do well? What did the inside circle do well?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, is it good that just everybody agrees?
No, I think
What-
they should
what was good about that?
challenge each other a little bit more, but otherwise it was.
Okay, but I think what I'm thinking you meant was we could tell that they were agreeing because they were using the communication or connection discussion statements.
also
Is that-
wanted to know what other people thought about
Yeah,
They invited
They
other
clarified.
people, and they also supported.
yeah, supported the point with evidence and reason, invited people in. Yes, good, very good. And we had some awkward silence, right? But again, silence shouldn't be so awkward. There are times when we have awkward silence, but there's so much in life now with all that noise we had talked about that we need to be okay with some silence in order to think about what we should say or not say.
I think
Okay.
it happens in real life conversations too.
Yes. So what were the good things? You're exactly right. What were the good things that you guys did that brought the conversation back to life?
You start notes.
Used your notes, yes. Preparation. Stepped up. Thank you. What else? How did you step up? What did you do?
Explaining your thinking.
Explaining your thinking. Good. Elaborated. Yes. Very, very good. Okay. Outside circle, what are you going to want to improve on from the inside circle? Nature?
I think we could maybe use because they used a lot of connectors, but they use the same ones over and over again.
So, vary your connectors. Good. Yep.
Rewriting what they're saying and summarizing it and saying how it's put into your life.
Okay, yeah, connecting, taking something that someone said and connecting that to your own personal life. Good. And Gage? Okay, so I agree because, and add the reasoning for it. Okay, anything else that you on the outside, when you go in, are going to keep in mind? All right, very quickly and quietly change spots. People on the inside. Make sure you know what you're tracking on the outside circle.
Over here, there.
Brother in.
Okay, guys, I'm out in this group. Sounds good. Preston, sit right here.
There you go, for sure.
Okay.
You want the leg?
I don't like.
My computer's at 5%.
Please stop.
Use the charger that's close to you.
80%
I give the soft spot to Casey.
Use the charger that's close to you.
Yeah,
It's fine. I got more.
Huh?
One thing about the inside circle.
Almost gotta give you that. No, it's a joke.
One thing about the inside circle. Can you connect two ideas that you heard in the first round?
Yes.
Yes.
No. No.
Okay.
I'm not asking the questions.
All right.
Copycat.
You may begin.
It's
So from the metacognition unit, I thought the most important part to me was the part about getting enough sleep. Because I feel like that's really important to your everyday life and functioning. And I feel like I learned a lot from, when we listened to the talk from Dr. Walker.
I agree with Chloe because sleep helps us out a lot and clears us of stress and other things bad.
I agree with Chloe and Lane because if you do not get as much sleep, you do not focus as well.
I think that's a good point. Because I know when I don't get enough sleep in class, I can't focus as well.
I agree with that because if I don't get enough sleep, then I try sleeping in class or goofing off.
I agree, I do the same. I believe that the best part we learned was to manage our time because since most of us, or since we are in high school now, it has become a struggle for us.
Haley, do you have anything to share?
I thought that learning about our brain and how it works was an important part of it because we need to know what can help it and what kind of contributes to how it's
I agree because our brain kind of runs our body and what we do and how we act.
I want to add on to what they were saying about sleep. There was a study that scientists found that each hour of lost sleep was associated with a 38% increase in the risk of feeling sad or hopeless and a 58% increase in suicide attempts out of 28,000 high school students. So, if we don't have enough sleep and that rises in our school and people try to commit suicide, we are losing students in our school and people that we care about because they don't understand that if they got more sleep, it might help them not feel as sad or hopeless.
That's a good point to make. I agree with you on that.
What learning and or reading strategies did you find most helpful, teacher?
The strategies that I found most helpful were the sleeping strategies because I used to get 6 hours of sleep every night and now I get 7 and 8 and I feel more active and awake. Rather when I only got 6, I was always tired and not as focused, so I can focus a lot better.
So you applied the strategy to your own life and it helped you?
Yeah.
One reading strategy is that if you read reading too fast, try slowing down a little bit or reread.
Gage, what do you feel about the learning and reading strategies?
I think it's helpful because as we become older and start using it more and more in our daily lives, we can incorporate it into jobs.
I thought one of the strategies that also was helpful is the note-taking strategy. I know I can use that in class a lot, and everyone learns a different way. So one might be helpful to me and not to the others, and so I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I agree with that because like I started taking notes in different classes, and it's helped me with when I take notes in one class, it also helps me with another one, and I'll use different note-taking strategies for each class.
I agree with that. How it can help it, like the note taking from different classes can kind of help you.
I agree because most of the time you don't always have to write the whole page down. You can just paraphrase it so that you remember it.
I, for one, am not very fond of writing down notes, but when I use some of these note-taking strategies, it'll help me and write down the important notes and not have random ones I don't really need.
Could you explain more on how it helps you?
Instead of writing down like pointless things that I don't need, I only write down the important stuff because after writing down countless paragraphs of notes, it starts to hurt my wrist a little bit and gets very annoying, you know?
So does it like help you do better on tests and stuff? Have you seen improvement on that?
Yes, because I get to study and it's actually the right stuff and not just random stuff.
I think that you'd be more willing to study simple notes that are the most important stuff instead of long paragraphs.
What do you feel is the most significant and helpful information you learned in the communication portion of our first unit?
I thought that knowing the different levels of communication were important, like knowing certain people that you talk to, like what kind of communication is important.
I feel like I already kind of knew that, so I didn't feel like it was like super helpful, but I knew it was good to know the other things. But I also I thought the most significant thing for me was knowing that failing was okay. Because there's a lot of things that like, oh, I just feel like failing, you're a failure. But there's a lot of people who have been really successful who have failed. So that was important.
Anything to add, Chance?
I agree with what Chloe was saying because
CJ, how do you feel about the communication portion of our first unit?
I agree with it. Like Chloe said.
What is something you've learned about yourself as a learner through this unit?
I've learned a ton of different things, and my number one thing was I learned it's okay to have failures. That's probably once again one of the things that I've just had to be okay with. Like, you can't win everything in life.
Going kind of along with what she said, something that I've learned about myself as a learner is that I learn best by doing, speaking, or writing it out. Like, back in the first quarter in ag, I didn't used to, like, the way I studied, I just read it all over and looked at it. And then I started taking notes and I started repeating it to myself every night. And by doing that, I found out that I was doing better on the test if I studied that way rather than
I think that's a good thing to point out because I feel like there's different study ways that works for everyone. So
I agree with Chloe and nature about that because you can build off of your failure, like the stuff that doesn't work, you can try different things to see if that would help.
I agree with them, but I also thought that like doing activities
something, you don't always understand it or fully understand what they're trying to say, but when you do activities with it, you can actually understand it to do the activity.
I learned that doing things as a group and actually doing something, not reading something, can help you understand what you're learning can be.
Can you
Understanding.
like clarify that more? Can you explain that a little better?
Like if you're in a group and everybody can help put information together on what they're doing.
So does anyone else have anything else to add?
I think learning about this in class has really helped a lot of people, so I think it's good we went over this. And I learned a lot from the different articles we read in the different TED Talks we talked about or watched. I don't know if anyone else thought those.
I disagree just a little bit with Chloe because some of the stuff I didn't like. I didn't think it was helpful because I wasn't interested in it and stuff, so I didn't focus on it as well.
I agree with Preston because I believe that if you're interested in a topic, you'll be more excited to learn about it.
I agree with Preston, right? Because doing something I'm interested in,
I could see that, but I mean, I also know this stuff is probably stuff we need to learn. I mean, there could have been different ways to go about it, but I think it's good we learned it. Sure.
I agree with those three because before, when we were doing a lot of literacy journal stuff, I wasn't interested in it because I don't like writing and that. So then I put it off and put it off.
Do you think the communication part has helped you with your writing though?
Yeah, a little bit.
I agree with Chloe that even though we don't really want to learn about it or it doesn't really interest us, it can still and it can still help us.
I agree with Chloe with that communication thing because learning different ways to communicate can help you connect things and rewriting's a little bit easier.
I think it has made me a better writer. Just knowing talking about different people and talking how to say it, how to communicate with people, pretty much.
I agree with Chloe and Preston because being a good communicator can help you in job interviews or doing something with a group that you're not used to.
Yeah, we use communication every day. It's a pretty big thing, so I feel like everyone should know how to do it and how to respect people while they're doing it. It's a really big deal.
I agree with Chloe.
I'm going to have to wrap you up. Okay, guys, you did very, very well. Outside circle, what did the inside circle do well?
Better than you? No.
They discussed it a little more instead of agreeing on stuff.
Yes, and what that does to a conversation and your overall understanding is fabulous. It deepens your understanding. It makes the conversation more enjoyable. Gives it depth.
When they didn't understand something, they had the person elaborate.
Elaborate, yes.
They did have the same.
Okay, so we had a little bit of dominance, so we could have invited more people in.
There were some people we didn't hear.
Chance didn't talk at all.
Okay, yeah, we had a variety. So next time, we'll want to make sure we get more balance, more variety, inviting people in. Good, what else?
Crippled. Talk about evidence more.
Using evidence more in all of our conversations. Using evidence more is always good. Okay, guys, you did a fabulous job. What you need to do before you leave.
Wait 1 minute.
What you need to do before you leave is look at your rubric again, put a star on the skills that you know you did in your discussion.
Yeah.
Make sure your name is on it, and then put it on the back end of the
Probably not.
sheet.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm